Welcome to Inner Peace, Better Health. I am your host, Shreya. Tonight, we are diving into the fascinating intersection of spiritual growth and childhood intuition with Michelle Henderson. With decades of experience as an educator and now as a spiritual advisor, Michelle has dedicated her life to helping children embrace their gifts while guiding parents to nurture, not suppress, their light. So, welcome, Michelle. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yes, definitely. And Michelle, you have spent over 30 years in education. So, how did that journey lead you into the spiritual of like spiritual path of guiding intuitive children?
Yes. So being an educator or all educators join to be a teacher or in education because they have such a big heart. They are in tune with children. And so whenever I first started my education, it was that I wanted to really change the world and help any child that I could help while I taught them or when I connected with them or if they were just in my life. So during the education process, I really could tap in. I was very in tune to the spiritual world. And I just knew what each of my children in my classroom, what they were needing. And I also knew what the parents, were really needing as well. So I also became an educational diagnostician. And what that means is whenever, in special ed, if a child needs special ed services, I would evaluate them and help create a program for them. And I always knew which direction to go with each child. And so I just felt like when I got closer and closer to retirement, I thought, oh my goodness, I used a lot of my spiritual gifts, which everybody has, that intuitiveness to help these children. And I felt like, I need to really venture out and help these families that have an intuitive child, or if they just need some type of spiritual guidance, I am definitely there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this, and this is so beautiful. The way you just started your journey. And was there a defining moment when you realized a child's intuition needed a different kind of support?
Oh, love this question. So, I also worked with children with autism, and that was just, a very um, uplifting, but also a very strenuous job to occur with children with autism. But they're the ones that really helped me see the bigger picture. Even though a child that was nonverbal could actually communicate with me in different ways, energetically and spiritually. And at the time, I really did not understand what was happening because I myself was just learning about spirituality and about intuitiveness. And it's so interesting that recently, I believe there's something about information that has come out where autism children are actually um, communicating telepathically. And I went, oh my gosh, that's exactly what was happening. And each time I saw a nonverbal child that would either stem or look off into the distance, and they were looking at something, and I knew they could see something that I could not see. And so I just really feel like that population really helped me see more spiritually because I saw them as spiritual, gifted with their energy and that they could see so much more than that what we could see. And I really feel like they could see the earth grids or sacred geometry. I feel like these children can actually have an extra sensory that we don't have. And so I think that was my pivotal moment whenever I felt like, I need to really be an advocate for these children or any child that really has this intuitiveness. If the family doesn't know what direction to go, I need to be there for them.
That is so beautiful, and your story shows how education and spirituality can work hand in hand. And also, many parents may struggle to understand their child's intuitive experiences. What are some signs that a child may be highly intuitive?
And I'm going to also explain what parents have told me what their child can do. But a lot of times when they're 2 or 3, and it's different developmentally stages because we do change as we get more grounded into this earth realm. So the younger that they are, 2 or 3, even a baby, they can actually see spirits or entities that are around us that we cannot see. They may have an imaginary friend, and they'll say, "Oh, my imaginary friend's here," or they'll tell the parent, "I've seen my your dad. Your dad is my grandfather is coming to see me." So they're not afraid of it, but whenever they start telling their parents, the parents become a little afraid of it if they're not into this realm or this experience. As they get older, they tend to, and it's usually around age 7 is whenever we start to lose a little bit of intuitiveness, but it changes. And as they get a little bit older, they can start then feeling the energy. They may not be able to see the entities or the spiritual realm as much, but they can feel the energy. They can feel other people's feelings. They may come home from school saying, I don't know why I'm so sad. Nothing happened to me. So they might be picking up, some other people's feelings. They're empaths, is what we call them. Or when they go out in public, there's like to the mall or shopping, there's so many people there and they feel all of these energies. So they anxiety starts taking hold. So that's when they really need to learn how to protect themselves and their energy. They may also have a pet or a dog, and they can communicate with the dog telepathically. They know exactly what the dog needs. And also they love nature, being a part in plants because of that extra energy that we can feel being an empath. They also have such a great imagination. That's the number one thing because spirituality is actually creativity coming to surface because that's how we express ourselves. And then as they get older, they're trying to find themselves because they have all this information coming and they know, it's like, and I love this, when people become very creative and they color their hair different colors or they wear different clothes and they come out, looking really, really unique. They're trying to find themselves and they actually live not only in this world, but above us in the spiritual world. But so as they get older, we do have to increment into the earth realm. We have families that we need to take care of, we have money to take care of, and then we start losing that intuitiveness. But I still used my intuitiveness on my job. So that's when it's really important for individuals to be able to use what feels good and follow that gut feeling, I guess you could say.
Yes. Thank you for sharing this insight with us. And also, how can parents respond in ways that empower rather than silence them?
So to empower a child, the first thing they need to do is listen without fear. Because if you are fearful of it, your child's going to pick it up. They're going to feel the energy of fear. So the first thing is you need to listen with an open heart and know if your child is not afraid of it, then there is nothing to be afraid. But it's different if your child is afraid of it and really doesn't know how to deal with it. He or she may not be ready to be able to connect in. And that's when you go, okay, maybe there are certain things that we can do to help you. But again, the number one thing is to listen to your child. And if they do become afraid, they need to know that they are the ones in charge. Or if they just want a break, because a child is like a lighthouse and all these spirits are coming in wanting to talk to your child. And so So I always tell children, you can turn off that lighthouse. You can turn off that light and say, you know what? I don't want to play right now. I don't want to play. I want to be in control. And then if they want to cleanse the room, there are certain sprays that you can get a little bitty water bottle and fill it up with these substances. And a child can cleanse the room and just say, I right now am closed. I don't want to be a lighthouse for you. I need to get rest. I don't need any energy around. So there's different, and also crystals can help them. And I always tell parents, go to the crystal store, go to any store that has crystals and have your child pick out a crystal. Because I remember when I was younger, I had a pet rock. And that pet rock was my pet and really, really helped me whenever I was sad. I had this pet rock and I would really love on it and everything. It's kind of like a crystal. A crystal has a different energy, and their child will be drawn to that energy. And so they can put that in their backpack. They can call it a different name. It can be like a pet rock, I guess you could say. So these are just some of the things that they can do to help their child.
Yes, that feels so empowering, like turning what could be seen as strange into a celebrated gift.
Yes.
And also write about nurturing intuitive children spiritually. So, how does that differ from traditional like parenting approaches?
Okay, so what is a little bit different with that? And because every parent has been raised differently, and they have different religious experiences, they have different spiritual practices. So being a parent, it's very difficult, to be open. And but you got to remember that everybody has a different spiritual pathway. So what's a little bit different is if a child is having an anxiety attack or having an anxious feeling to it and they don't know what to do, it's very important to tell them about there's something greater than yourself. It doesn't have to be anything religious. That way, they know that they can turn into something like angels, they can call angels or anything else to help them with their anxiety. Where another parent may say, okay, why don't we, let's talk about it and just have the child talk about the anxiety. But if you put spirituality in there, it just means that, you know what? This is you. God is giving you this feeling for a reason. And what are you learning from this? So bring that spirituality in. If a child knows that there's something greater themselves and they are connecting with God, when they start having difficulties, they will go to God instead of looking to somebody else. They may look inside themselves. The answers they can find are inside themselves as well. So a parent may also say, instead of talking to me, talk to yourself. What are you feeling? What is your intuitive? What is your gut feeling telling you? Are you tingling whenever you feel like something is correct? So they're kind of connecting the body, mind, and soul into the upbringing instead of, I'm the parent. This is we have strict rules. This is what you need to follow. They're actually giving them the independence to be who they need to be.
Yeah, that's such a refreshing tech that you just shared. And could you share a simple practice families can start tonight to encourage soulful growth?
Absolutely. So, and I encourage parents to do anything spiritually or any spiritual exercises with the child as a family, because that way you're kind of connecting, and it's almost like families that are spiritual together will grow together spiritually. And so, one of the things that you can start right now is having a little meditation session, and whatever this looks like, right before bedtime. And this can be if you pray, everybody prays differently. Everybody has different affirmations. If you have a Bible, you can bring it out then. You can bring in that spirituality into the Bible as well. Any type of practice that you have, do it right before bed and do some breathing exercises with the child. And you can do the box breathing and just kind of relax. And then and then gather around the bed or however you want to do it in the child's bedroom and say a little prayer. That way they feel protected and they feel like, yeah, there is something more spiritual here. And 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 then of course then put the crystal next to the bedside and which is really important to do as well. But that is something that you can start with. And whenever a child meditates, a child does not need to meditate for 30 minutes. A child can you think of their age. So a 3-year-old can sit still and breathe for 3 minutes. So whatever age they are is how long that they can breathe. And if they don't know how to breathe, just say like you're blowing into a balloon, and that's how you're breathing in and out like a balloon does. So that is one of the things that a parent can start right now is to have a habit of doing this each night.
Yes, that is like people will love it. The like making spirituality a natural part of family life instead of something distant.
Right.
And also, like, there are some children with heightened intuition. They also may face some challenges like anxiety or being misunderstood. How do you guide them through that?
Okay, so they've got to learn that everybody is on a different pathway. Not everybody is going to want to learn from them. Because a lot of times when they're very high in tune, they want to share it with the world. And a lot of times if children are in a classroom and they start, telling everybody about what they've experienced or they're talking to a deceased grandfather, that may not turn out well. And so a lot of times it's not like we want them to hide. It's a way of maybe their friends are not ready for it. And until they are ready for it, then find your other friends that who are. And parents can also what came to me as well is they may want to find a group and I mean, Facebook technology is so wonderful at finding parent groups with intuitive children so that these children can find one another and they can talk and feel important that way. But, the world is, everybody is different. And, I don't want to walk down the street and start talking to somebody about spirituality because, again, they may not be ready for it. They may not be on the same level as I am, but you need to really embrace where they are. And that's where they find out I'm special and so is my friend. We may not see things the same way, and it's okay. And that's how we learn from one another.
Yeah, that really highlights the role of parents. And do you think intuitive children are more sensitive to emotional climate at home?
Oh, absolutely. They're emotional everywhere. So if you have a child that is so emotional, cries at, with everything, or because they live with everything, with every ounce of their soul and with every emotion, and it's okay. And so a parent just needs to know this is just how my child is. So again, just breathing and calming down. And if they get too hyped up, they can write in a journal, they can draw pictures of how they're feeling, and that will help them embrace that they're being heard. And if they draw a picture and you don't know what it is, just ask, "Well, what are you drawing here? How does this make you feel?"
Yeah, that is so, so wonderful. And also, like, there are different kind of people in world, and we have different kind of listeners and audience. Like, there are skeptics who might say intuition in children is just imagination. How do you respond to that perspective?
Well, and if somebody, because I've had a mom and a dad come, and the dad was going, "I don't believe in any of this," and it's okay because he's closed door. And the mom was going, "Oh, but I do. I'm into crystals and everything else." And again, we need to really embrace where they are. If he is there to help his child, and if he is not ready to do any crystals in his house, then you need to really honor that because That's where they are, and that is their child. And so you have to, if they're not believers, either one of them, you just say, you need to raise the child the best that you can because you are the mom and dad. As the child gets older, they can embrace their spirituality later. When they get older, they can make those own decisions. So the spiritual world is not going to say, sorry, you can't work on your intuition if you're going to close it down. That individual child will find it whenever the time is correct. So if the mom and dad are both skeptic, then yes, we need to honor where they are and allow them to raise the child to their best ability.
Yeah, you just so beautifully and amazingly framed it. And do you believe imagination itself is a part of their spiritual intelligence?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So if you think about it, people who make music, people who are artists, they are channeled in. They are very spiritual. They may not talk about it, but spirituality is very creative. And so, whenever you see something and you're going, where are you getting all of this creativity, all of your art style? And they go, I don't know where it's coming from. It is coming from their soul. And so, a lot of times they don't know. They just know that they have to create, they have to do it. They're being pushed to do it. And that's their soul talking, even if they're unaware of it.
Yes, it's so refreshing that what some call imagination that may actually be a doorway to truth. And
Absolutely.
thank you for joining us and sharing so much of your knowledge, your experiences, the stories, and you have a plethora of knowledge, and you're a wonderful person. And if after this, my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
Oh, you can email me. It's the Michelle Henderson at gmail.com. And I also have a website. It's the same thing, www.themichellehenderson.com.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all these details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and know more from you because you are a wonderful person and like the topic you chose and what you're doing, it's really commendable. And to all my listeners, this conversation with Michelle Henderson reminds us that children are not only our future, but also mirrors of wisdom that already present among us. By nurturing their intuitive gifts, we empower them and ourselves to live more authentically and spiritually awake. If you are a parent, take a moment to listen differently to your child this week, and you may be surprised by the wisdom that are waiting in their words. Thank you.